Project Tiger is being initiated under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, and it is administered, that is, it is been taken care by which one? It is administered by National Tiger Conservation Authority. So it is administered by the National Tiger Conservation Authority. Again, this is very important. Centrally sponsored scheme for prelims. Ministry, under which ministry? Administered by whom? That is National Tiger Conservation Authority. And there are 50 tiger reserves in India. There are 50 tiger reserves in India which are governed by the Project Tiger. Which are governed by Project Tiger. Ram Kumar has joined. Very good morning, Ram Kumar. Ram Kumar, it's been long time you have attended my class. Very good morning to you. So in total, Project Tiger, there are 50 tiger reserves in India, and they are administered by, again, National Tiger Conservative Authority. It has been administered by National Tiger Conservative Authority. So this is very important for prelims point of view, and I'm giving this, which is additional information which is not in the newspaper, but this is how you need to analyze the newspaper. So this is the additional information which I've given. The National or Nagarjuna Sagar Srisailam Tiger Reserves, which is very important. Okay, ICAN Academy, all exams. I do not know your name, but very good morning to you also. And this Rajita Dada is also joined. Very good morning. And again, the Project Tiger is also an additional information which I am giving to you all. Please do understand my definitely it is my extra effort which I am putting it for the students. So please do take it into consideration. This is how you need to focus the newspaper. I will give you one. See, this is in the news. What is in the news? That the Nagarjuna Sagar Srisailam Tiger Reserve is the largest one, it is said. And then Tiger Consensus, which are the one which is taking place or which carries the Tiger Census, that is Wildlife Institute of India, WII, plus the National Tiger Conservative Authority. It starts at normal time only, Rahul. Suresh Raman has joined. Very good morning to you, Suresh. It started at right time itself. So here there is no mention about the Nagarjuna Srisailam Tiger Reserves, extra information or Project Tiger. But when you focus on the Nagarjuna Srisailam Tiger Sanctuary, here we will get to know about that it has been recognized by Project Tiger. So you have to identify the keyword here, the Project Tiger. So again you need to get into the mode of what is Project Tiger. So this is how my focus is in regards to how it will be useful for you in regards to the prelims point of view and also mains point of view. Please do understand and appreciate that you are being benefited by AKS IAS Academy, that is daily news analysis by me, that is Sandeep Bhushan. And then Mahavira has also joined. Very good morning to you, Mahavira. And Tiger Reserves, as I said, 50 tiger reserves. See, look at it. 50 tiger reserves are in India which are governed by Project Tiger. So all this you can see, as I said, Corbett and then Ranthambore you have seen, and recently Kaziranga. Why Kaziranga? Kaziranga National Park and Tiger Reserves, because Assam is totally flooded. So you never know, there could be a question in prelims, especially in regards to the national parks or national parks and tiger reserves. National parks and tiger reserves. So make sure that you are totally getting into the mode of the tiger reserves and biological parks. This do focus compulsory. I would say that there would be a question in the prelims on the national parks, tiger reserves and biological parks. And there is another news which talks about MPs oppose exemptions under data protection law. So what is the keyword here we need to focus is data protection law. Data protection law is a keyword which you need to focus in this news. So MPs have opposed the exemptions. Please understand, they have opposed the exemptions under the data protection law. They are not supporting the exemption, they are opposing the exemptions under the data protection law. So what we need to look at is what is data protection law, or how the government or the MPs are actually opposing it. Srinath Royal, very good morning to you. Welcome to AKS IAS Academy, that is Daily News Analysis by Sandeep Bhushan. So there was a joint committee, a meeting. There was a meeting on the joint of the joint committee on the Personal Data Protection Bill 2009. This is very important. So there is a bill. Why I'm saying it is very important is as there is a bill on what? Bill on Personal Data Protection Bill 2019. And here what has happened is when there was a meeting of the joint committee on the Personal Data Protection Bill 2019, the MPs, that is Member of Parliament, MPs have opposed few exemptions. So what are the exemptions we will look at? I've opposed the exemptions. So what are the exemptions? That the exemptions is, that is the government agencies. Exemptions are government agencies such as National Institute of Agency, National Investigation Agency, and then National Crime Record Bureau, and then National or Narcotics Control Bureau, and Registrar General of India have been exempted. So the meeting of the joint committee. So there was a joint committee meeting on the Personal Data Protection Bill, and wherein the MPs have opposed. So what they have opposed of the joint committee, wherein they wanted to make sure that there would be a few exemptions by the government agencies as per the or in regards to the Personal Data Protection Bill 2019, and which government agencies will be exempted from the data protection or Personal Data Protection Bill 2019 is the National Investigation Agency, National Crime Record Bureau, and then in regards to Narcotics Control Bureau, and then Registrar General of India. And all these will be exemptions from, please do understand, this is very important for prelims and also mains, from section 35 and section 36 of data protection law. Please do understand, this is very important. So the joint committee has said that we will exempt the government agencies, that is NIA, NCRB, NCB and the RGI, that is this from section 35 and section 36 of data protection laws, and that is why MPs have opposed that these government agencies, that is NIA, NCRB, NCB and then RGI, should not be exempted under section 35 and 36 of data protection law. Why? Because they say it is a violation of, if you are exempting, that means it is violation of civil liberties. MPs have said if these government agencies are exempted from the provisions of or under section 35 and 36, exempted from the provisions under section 35 and 36 of data protection law, it will be a violation of civil liberties of an individual. So that is what the MPs have made the opposition in the meeting. And what is very important is that the section 35 and section 36 is also very important for the prelims point of view, and the other one is in regards to the Personal Data Protection Bill 2019 is very important keyword. And this bill was introduced by the Lok Sabha, that is Personal Data Protection Bill 2019 was introduced by the Minister Electronics and Information Technology in December on December 11, 2019. Again, this is important while you are trying to get into the mode of what is Personal Data Protection Bill. It has been introduced by the in the Lok Sabha by the Minister of Electronics and Information Technology, that is Ravi Shankar Prasad on December 11, 2019. So what does it seeks? It seeks protection. So this seeks, or it provides protection. It provides protection of personal data. Please do understand. It provides the protection of personal data. So personal data of what? Personal data of your finance, or biometric data, or your caste or religion, or even political beliefs. So this is all what you have it in the data, and that data is protected by the Protection of Personal Data Bill 2019, which was introduced in the Lok Sabha by the Electronics and Information Technology Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad on December 11, 2019. And now we will look at why section 35 and section 36 of the personal data law is very important. Because section 35 of the law says, or it talks about the sovereignty and integrity. Sovereignty and integrity. It talks about the security. It talks about the friendly relation. It talks about the public order. Please do understand. Section 35 of the data protection law talks about the interest of sovereignty and integrity of the country, security of the country, friendly relations of the country with other countries, and the public order. So all these provisions of the act shall not apply to any agency. Please do understand. In section 35 it says that all these shall not apply to any agency, shall not apply to any agency of the government, it says. That is why all these should be exempted from the provisions under 35 and 36 of the data protection. That is what the Union Home Ministry made a presentation on Monday to the committee, explaining the agencies, including all this, should be exempted from the provisions of 35 and 36 of the data protection law. Why? Because 35 talks about sovereignty, integrity, security of the country, friendly relation of India with other countries, and the public order shall not apply to any agency. So 35 of the law, section 35 of the data protection law does not hold all this. That is why the Home Ministry has made a statement. And then section 35, this is 35 and 36, section 36, it safeguards for an individual in the interest of prevention and detection and investigation and prosecution. So what it safeguards? It safeguards an individual, that is any individual person. It safeguards the prevention, that is trying to take him into custody, detection, and then investigation and prosecution of any offense or any other contravention of law. So this is safeguarding the individual, and this is entire the country itself. So section 35 is for the countries, section 36 is for the individuals. Please do understand, this is very important for the prelims and also conceptual understanding. So section 35 of the law is for the country, section 36 is safeguarding the individuals, and that is what Home Ministry has spoken about it. And then Lolita Siva Gayatri, very good morning to you. And there is another news which talks about China chairs meet with Afghan, Pak, Nepal foreign ministers. So here what is the keyword is quadrilateral dialogue. The keyword here what you need to focus is, again, in regards to the international relations, the way China is trying to extend itself or move ahead with various kind of dialogues. So China has come up with the quadrilateral dialogue with the foreign ministers. So foreign minister, at the level of the foreign ministers, the quadrilateral dialogue has been taken up between China and then Afghanistan, and then Nepal, and then Pakistan. So please look at how China is definitely going ahead with extending its friendly relations with the countries which are bordering India, with the countries which are bordering India. Look at it, because recently we have seen Malabar exercise. Please do understand, all these are what you said, tit for tat, and you have to link one news with the other news. Why it is happening? That inquisitiveness has to definitely be in your mind or your strategy or your preparation. So we have seen Malabar exercise recently in the eastern Indian Ocean, in the Andaman Nicobar Islands, between Indian Navy and US Navy, in the what do you say, in eastern Indian Ocean, in the Andaman Nicobar Islands, in between the Indian Navy and US Navy. Fine. So, and also that Australia, India is almost ready to accept Australia. India is almost ready to accept Australia as part, which is the trilateral naval exercise. The trilateral naval exercise would become a quadrilateral naval exercise if Australia is joining the Malabar exercise, which is a trilateral naval exercise, will become a quadrilateral naval exercise. So this is the what do you say, which the kind of exercise which is taking up the other side of it. This is called as PASEX, that is passage exercise, wherein part of the Malabar exercise, passage exercise, wherein US was moving from Philippine Sea, from Malacca Strait into the Indian Ocean or Eastern Indian Ocean, near the Andaman Nicobar Islands. We had this. So this is just an what do you say, I'm giving the background information to what, how the China is countering. It has gone ahead with convening, or it has gone ahead with taking up the quadrilateral dialogue between the foreign ministers of China, Afghanistan, Nepal and Pakistan. And what does it wanted to do? It wanted to strengthen cooperation. It wanted to strengthen cooperation between all these countries, especially in regards to handling the COVID-19 pandemic situation, in regards to handling COVID-19 pandemic, and to boost the economic recovery, and to boost the economic recovery of all the countries, plus the regional connectivity. Please do understand, this is very important for conceptual understanding, application point of view. The one who is preparing for our optional subject as political science and international relations, so this is very important. So at the foreign ministers level, there is a quadrilateral dialogue which has been taken up between China, Afghanistan, Nepal and Pakistan. Why? Because they wanted to strengthen the cooperation, especially because of the issues which they wanted to deal between the four countries in regards to COVID-19 pandemic situation, and to boost the economic cooperation or economic recovery. And the other one, the third one, is regional connectivity projects. So look at the way the China is now exploring new options to counter India, because India is slowly getting closer with US. Please do understand, India is very closely getting associated with US. That is what it is. And this has been taken up by the China's foreign minister, that is Wang Yi. And then they wanted all the four countries to cooperate, regional connectivity project, and also they wanted the other three countries to cooperate the China's Belt and Road Initiative, to cooperate China's Belt and Road Initiative. So these are all very important. And the Chinese foreign minister has also extended, this is another very important point, how China is what you say, trying to make sure that it is trying to attract or get closer or have friendly relations with the countries which are bordering India. I am reiterating my statement because CPEC is between China and Pakistan. But what the foreign minister of China that is Wang He, is proposing is that to extend the CPEC to Afghanistan. So from China, Pakistan to Afghanistan. Please do understand. So he wanted to extend the existing China-Pakistan economic corridor to Afghanistan, as well as take forward an economic corridor, another economic corridor plan. China wanted to come up with the another economic corridor plan, that is called with Nepal. That is with Nepal. It wanted to come up with the another economic corridor plan with Nepal, that is called as Trans-Himalayan Multi-Dimensional Connectivity Network. Look at the way China is extending. So it wanted to extend its CPEC to Afghanistan. Not only that, with Nepal, it wanted to make sure that it come up with the new or an economic corridor plan. And what is that economic corridor plan? That is called as Himalayan Multi-Dimensional Connectivity Network. And this is very, very important keyword or the key phrase for your understanding. Okay, before I get into the next slide, Madhu says, is Japan not a part of Malabar exercise? No, Japan is not part of Malabar or part of Quad. It was India, Australia, Japan is there. India, Australia, Japan, and then US. What? India, Australia, Japan, and US. Absolutely, it is. It is. Earlier, Quad is there. Quad is. I'm talking about Malabar exercise. As of now, Malabar exercise is between only India, Japan, and US. As of now, even there are discussion going on, Madhu. There are discussion going on that Australia be part of the Malabar exercise. Quad, yes, no doubt. Quad is between India, Australia, Japan, and US. If Malabar exercise would be adding even Australia, which is now not part of Malabar exercise, then it would be Quad Malabar exercise, or militarily the Quad will become, what do you say, and Malabar exercise would become as equal to Quad. Okay. So the China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi has come up with the four-way ties. This is very, very important for your better understanding. So what he wanted to make sure that he wanted the four-way ties with the four countries, that is China, Nepal, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. China, Nepal, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. And they wanted, because all these China, Pakistan, Nepal, and Afghanistan are connected by mountains and rivers. So he says that all these are connected by mountains and rivers. So therefore, we will come up with the four proposals to strengthen the four-way ties. And that is how they wanted to make sure that the vaccine for the COVID-19, the vaccine for the COVID-19, which is developed, which is if developed by China, will be definitely will be offered to all the rest of the, or shared with the three countries, that is Nepal, Pakistan, and then Afghanistan. That is what it is. Four proposal, that is four-way ties with the four countries. Please do understand. Four countries, four proposals, four-way ties. All four-way proposal, four countries, four-way ties. So first is in regards to vaccine will be shared between the three countries, and then the second one is wanted to make sure that they wanted to continue cooperation. They wanted the continue cooperation between all the countries, that is the rest of the three countries or the four countries. Five are under cooperation of all the four countries under the framework of under the framework of under the framework of Belt and Road Initiative. Under the framework of Belt and Road Initiative. And the third one is the China wanted to make sure that it wanted to move forward the China-Pakistan economic corridor. As I said, it wanted to extend it further to Afghanistan. And then in regards to the Nepal also, it wanted to come up with the new economic corridor plan or economic corridor plan that is called as Trans-Himalayan Multi-Dimensional Connectivity Network Project with Nepal. And the fourth one is making sure that all the four countries will come together for the peace and reconciliation process. Please do understand how China is trying to also enter into or have good relations or attract even Afghanistan, because recently, couple of days back or last week, I was talking about the Afghan reconciliation process. I was talking about Afghan reconciliation process and US special representative for Afghan reconciliation, and then how US the special representative Zalma Khalilzad, his name Khalilzad, has asked India to be part of the Taliban peace deal process or talk to the Talibans directly. Trump also wanted India to be part of the Afghan reconciliation. Now look at when India was saying that we cannot have talks with the terrorist. That is what India always says. It will talk with the people's representative. That is the Afghan government. But look at the way now. Look at the way now. China is now also going ahead with pledging their support. Look at it. When India is not really going ahead with what the US special representatives or US President Donald Trump is actually wanting India to be part of the reconciliation process in Afghanistan, when India is not really happy to have talks with the Taliban directly, now China is pledging their support for the ongoing peace and reconciliation process in Afghanistan. So these are the four-way ties. This is very, very important for conceptual IR part of it. So in regards to the vaccine, it will be shared between China, Nepal, Pakistan and Afghanistan, and then China wanted cooperation between all the four countries under the framework of Belt and Road Initiative, and then they wanted to make sure that they extend the CPEC, which is between China and Pakistan, to Afghanistan also, and also come up with the new economic corridor plan with Nepal, that is called as Trans-Himalayan Multi-Dimensional Connectivity Network Project. And the fourth one is to support the ongoing peace and reconciliation process in Afghanistan. So these are the four-way ties. Please do understand these are very, very important for the prelims as well as mains point of view in regards to how China is trying to get closer with the countries which are bordering India. And then Gopi Nayak has joined. Very good morning to you, Gopi Nayak. And this is the China-Pakistan economic corridor from China to Pakistan. So China from Kashgar province, Kashgar to Gwadar. So Gwadar is a port city. It is a port city. It is a port city from, I mean, you have the CPEC. This is the this connectivity is, this path is the China-Pakistan economic corridor, and this passes through Gilgit and Baltistan. Which is part of POK, Pakistan Occupied Kashmir. That is why India is not happy with the CPEC taken up by China, which is passing through the Pakistan Occupied Kashmir, that is Gilgit and Baltistan. Fine. And if you look at this one, so Belt and Road Initiative, as I said, I've used that. China is wanting the rest of the three countries, that is Nepal, Afghanistan and Pakistan, to be part or cooperate the Belt and Road Initiative. So the blue line is Belt and Road Initiative. From China, it is getting into what is Russia and then Central Asian countries, and again further into Eurasia, Eurasia, and then again into Europe, and then further it will go to what you say UK. Here it is UK, it is UK, and then also to the almost the Scandinavian countries are Norway, Finland, Sweden, Norway, Finland, and Sweden. So definitely look at the way connectivity, economic connectivity it has taken us. Yes, yes, yes. They are going at that is what they wanted to extend. Yes, Madhu. CPEC is also part of the Belt and Road Initiative. It is all bits and pieces. They wanted to connect it to the Belt and Road Initiative, and this is maritime route. This is land Belt and Road Initiative. This is through the sea or the water. So if you look at here, that is it is Jakarta and then Singapore and then Colombo, or else even in regards to the Chittagong, that is Bangladesh, and then Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and then I've said this Djibouti last couple of days back. I've said they have also come up with the Indian Chinese naval base even in Djibouti. Why I said there, I said also it passes through the Persian Gulf and then into Mediterranean Sea. I said through the Suez Canal. I did say this. That is which is what you say from Egypt and again get into Europe. So look at it till here. So definitely this is what the initiative which has been taken up, or else the economic initiative expansion which China is going ahead, and this I have given it for your better understanding. So from the sea route and then the land route, sea route and the land route. So it is over land and maritime route, land route and then maritime route. So this is very important, because when I'm showing this through the maps, you will understand it better. You will understand it better how the Belt and Road Initiative by through the land and through the waters, how China is definitely extending its connectivity, economic expansion towards west up to UK and then to the Scandinavian countries. This is UK and all this Norway, Sweden and Finland, Scandinavian countries. And there is another news which talks about GST cess falls 42% short of. So GST is what? Goods and services tax. So this has fallen down to 42 percentage. So this the collection we know as because of the COVID-19 pandemic situation or because of the national lockdown, the center, that is collection of the goods and services tax compensation cess collections, has fallen down to 42 percentage, and center has also taken money from the Consolidated Fund of India. Why it has taken? For the compensation of GST to states, which it has promised. So we will look at that. What is that? All that we will look at. So it is 42% shortfall in the goods and services tax compensation collection, that is GST collection in 2019-20, and plus a transfer. It is also a balance of cess. It is used a balance of cess from the previous years plus a transfer from the Consolidated Fund of India. That is what? Why? To compensate it has gone ahead. And the final installment of the GST compensation. So final installment which the center has to pay it to the states have been cleared, have been released. That is how much? 13,806 crore for the month of March. That is the final installment of the GST compensation where the center has to release to the states, have been, what do you say, completed. So completed for the financial year, that is financial year 2019-20, there is no delayed compensation or GST compensation where the center has to pay back to the states as per the GST law, as per the GST law between the center and the states, as per the GST law between the center and the state. So the GST council now, which was supposed to discuss about which has slated to meet this month to discuss, so it will discuss about the possibility of the market borrowing. So it will go ahead with whether the center can go ahead with the market borrowing to meet the shortfalls, because it is 42% shortfall, and how this can fill the gap, I mean how the center can fill the gap, that is the 42% short gap, but that is by market borrowing, by a concept called as market borrowing, that 42% can be filled, and the final installment of the GST compensation by the center to the states have been released, that is 13,806 crores, and the center has transferred 33,412 crore from the Consolidated Fund of India to Compensation Fund of India. This is very important. From the Consolidated Fund of India, it has transferred. See, center has transferred 33,412 crores of rupees from the Consolidated Fund of India to the Compensation Fund. So that is the fund which it has to pay it on the IGST. So you have GST, you have center GST, you have state GST, you have integrated GST. So your GST, that is central GST, state GST and integrated GST or integrated GST. So for that it has taken 33,412 to apportion the balance for the year 2017-18. And if you look at the GST, it was introduced in the year 2017 because all the taxes were subsumed under one tax, that is called goods and services tax. So the GST tax was introduced in 2017, which is important for prelims point of view. So what is important is GST and GST Council. These two are very important when it comes to prelims as well as mains point of view. GST and GST Council, these two keywords are very important. And what it has said in the GST is that center would pay the states, full revenue compensation for the first 5 years. For the first 5 years, that is taking 2015-16 as the base year to compensate, that is full revenue compensation by the center to the states will be done for the first 5 years, taking the base year as 2015-16 as a base year and assuming 14% of annual growth rate in states revenue. So definitely plus 14% of increase they will consider, and then they will pay to the states revenue. So FRBM is fiscal responsibility budget management. That is definitely you need to go ahead with market borrowings. How much it is, whether it is 4% or it is increased to 7%, because recently the central government has increased it to 4% to the 7%, that is external commercial borrowing or borrowing 4% to 7%, but generally it should not increase 4%. If it is falling within the 4%, and then whatever the center has decided because of the COVID-19 or else because of the shortage of the revenue, they have increased the external commercial borrowing through the FRBM, which has increased to 7% recently. Madhu, I think you got the point. So these are all very very important for prelims point of view. And this about GST Council, which is again additional information which I am giving, which you need to know, because these are the areas wherein UPSC will focus. And GST Council is the constitutional body. It is the constitutional body which GST Council is a constitutional body, and it will recommend, it will go ahead with the recommendation to the union and state governments. It will recommend to the union and state government in regards to the goods and services tax. So GST Council is a constitutional body, and it recommends to the union and state governments in regards to the goods and services tax. And if there are any issues in regards to the goods and services tax, then it will be resolved in the GST Council. And GST Council is chaired by whom? That is chairperson, that is the Union Finance Minister, and the members are all the finance ministers or the state finance ministers plus minister or in charge, minister of in charge for the finance, minister of in charge for the finance, that is union plus state. If you have minister in charge for state also, they will be the part of the members, and it is chaired by the union finance minister. And fourth one is the bill, that is the GST bill was introduced by 122nd Amendment Bill 2016. This is very very important. The GST bill was introduced in the Lok Sabha or in the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. That is the GST bill was introduced in the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha by the 122nd Amendment Bill 2016, both in Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha in the year 2016. In the year 2016, please do understand, this is very very important. This amendment bill is very important keyword for the prelims point of view. This is how the questions will be framed for the UPSC and state public service commissions. Which among the following is the bill which has been introduced by for the goods and services tax in the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha? 122nd Bill 2016, 120 Bill 2016, 122nd Constitutional Amendment Bill, or 120 Constitutional Amendment Bill, 102nd Amendment Constitution Bill, or 101 Constitution Amendment Bill. So the answer is 122nd Constitutional Amendment Bill. Please do understand, here I am emphasizing bill. There is again act. This is, we are talking about the bill. Bill introduced in the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha to pass the GST is the bill is, that is the 122nd Bill 2016. Fine. And the act is what? Which act? According to which act? Because the president has to sign it, and the president has to give his assent to the bill. Which bill? 122nd Constitutional Amendment Bill. Assent has been given, and then once the bill is been authorized or assent is been given by the President of India, then it is notified as an act, and then the act of GST is the 101st Amendment Act, Constitutional Amendment Act 2016. Please do understand. Act is 101st, bill is 102nd. This is very very important. And which article is pertinent to the GST Council? So as per the article 279A of 1, the GST Council is being set up, is constituted. Please do understand, these are all very very important. So if you look at here, again from economy we have jumped into prelims. So how with the linking you need to make it. So definitely article 279A of 1 is in regards to constituting of the GST Council. As soon as the president gives his assent, within 60 days the constitution or the commencement of article 279A has to take place. That is the coming of or else setting up of GST Council. So this is very, very important. So Article 279 of A of 1 in regards to GST Council, within the assent of the President within 60 days, and then the Act is 101st Amendment Act 2016, and the bill is 122nd Bill 2016. So this is about GST Council, which is an additional information. And then we have looked at the speaker, that is in regards to the polity we have discussed. That is here now the speaker, as I was talking about, in regards to the High Court and then Supreme Court. And then here again ecology and environment. So this conservation, when we are talking about, this was in news in regards to the AP. So why it is in news? Because July 29 is the International Tigers Day. That is why it is in news. And you need to focus that way, even for the prelims point of view. So we have looked at here the Nagarjuna Sagar, Srisailam Tiger Reserves, and also in regards to the Tiger Project or Tiger Project. So both we have looked at extensively. And here in regards to the data protection law we have looked at, which is again very important for the national security for Prince point of view. And then in regards to the international relations, how China is trying to get closer with Afghanistan, Pakistan and Nepal, and there was a meeting between the four countries in regards to the foreign ministers level. And then GST cess, here we have spoken about Consolidated Fund of India, fine. And then GST, which has come up in 2017, and then base year for GST was 2015-16, and then we have also discussed about GST Council, fine. And then Article 279 A of 1. So all this again for economy point of view and also the polity point of view we have looked at. So definitely it is very, very important for prelims point of view. So this is a recap on what we have discussed, and I would say a very big thank you and a good luck to you. A very big thank you and a good luck, because a success that comes after hard work, a success which comes after hard work is always sweeter than one earned easily. So definitely the success which comes after hard work is the one which you will really enjoy. You will really cherish it. You will really definitely get into the mode of liking it, and you will definitely embrace it, rather than the one which you have earned success, which has come to you very easily. And then definitely I feel this session was very, very important, knowledgeable session for you. So do like the video, share the video, subscribe the video, and also visit the site, that is aks.ias.com website of Advanced Knowledge System IAS Academy, and the telegram link is t.me/aks.ias, and my telegram link is t.me/Sandeep SBT. So you can also join to my telegram link, wherein I would be definitely, after a couple of days, I will be posting the PDF. I will be posting the PDF even in regards to the editorials, even in regards to the editorials. So please do go ahead with joining my telegram link, that is t.me/Sandeep SBT, wherein in couple of days time I will be posting the PDF of the editorials and articles. And then see you tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. and then do maintain consistency in your preparation. Stick to your schedule, that is your schedule preparation timetable, and then maintain or take care of your physical health and mental health. And I would say a thank you and a good luck to you. And I would also thank you all. Thank you all. Jyoti Vasu, very good. Thank you. And everyone, thank you all. Then see you tomorrow at 7:30 a.m.